To jump right in, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and the learning people. And this particular webinar is one that we do monthly, usually with a student as well. The star of our show today is Naomi, one of our existing students who just landed her first job, and we'll be hearing from her today about her experiences. My name is Ben Allwright. I am the senior coding specialist here at Learning People and have been for a little over 10 years now. And in all that time, I've seen the learning people go through quite a lot of different changes as we're basically just kind of matching the IT industry and all the changes that occur there. And the one thing I would say that has remained absolutely constant in all of that time, and will continue to for a good long time from now, is the demand for coders, and in particular, the increase year on year in demand for coders. I actually did a talk on this a few years back where with graphs, we were able to see that the number of people learning to get into code, like training to become qualified coders, and the number of coding related jobs, the number of people getting into coding increases slightly each year, but is just a little bit stagnant, but it's getting more and more. But the coding related jobs is just skyrocketing. So the gap between is getting bigger and bigger all the time. So in recent years, we've made quite a big effort to try and encourage more and more people to get into careers in tech, particularly around coding. That's enough from me. Today, we're going to hear first from Robin in our career services team. That is one of the most vital parts of what we do here, something I think we're quite well known for, because it's one thing to learn all the skills that you need and build your portfolio and all that sort of stuff, everything necessary to get your first job. But it can sometimes be a little bit tricky to actually get that first job. So we have a huge service that we provide, which Robin, if you'd like to tell us just a little bit about.
Thank you, Ben. Sticking to the newsroom angle. I'm Robin.
Over to you.
Yeah, over to you. Thank you. I lead the career services function. I'm based out of Dublin, as you might be able to tell from my accent. And I used to recruit for software developers in Dublin, but I have about 8 years experience in the employability sector in general. And now what we do in career services, the overall aim is it's helping students become job ready to help you navigate the job market and navigate that career change. So what we do is we've created a very, very watertight 3-phase program to really help facilitate and guide you through that experience from brand new training into a brand new career change. So the phase 1 is that job ready piece. So we help you get an understanding of the market that you're moving into, what the market's going to need from you to be a developer so that you're well armored before you actually hit the market. So this will include helping you update your CV, your LinkedIn, and creating an effective cover letter. You'll work with a consultant like myself one-on-one throughout your entire journey. And we basically go back and forth until your CV, LinkedIn, cover letter, everything like that is market ready. So you get the best chance of success in the market. Once that's completed, we move you on to phase 2, and that's the navigating the job market piece. And there's 2 core areas we focus on here. So there's networking and utilizing multiple job applications. Naomi can tell you a hell of a lot about networking. This was brand new to her, but she played an absolute blinder, and it definitely made a huge difference to her progression and her search. But I'll let Naomi talk to you about that. But it's basically helping you engage with the industry, learn from professionals, make contacts, get your name out there to really solidify your place in this new industry that you're moving into. It's also because hugely networking is the only way to uncover the hidden job market. That's where 70% of positions lie, because only 30% of positions are advertised. So if you're out there on your own, just putting your CV on job boards as much as possible, it's actually not likely to yield you results. So we help students structure a targeted plan where you balance multiple methods of application. It increases your probability of getting responses. And we're just getting into the science of job searching here. So there is a science to it, and you've got a very tailored and structured plan to follow as we go through this process. Phase 3, then it's all about interviews. We have very intensive interview prep calls. The fact that myself and others on the team that we've recruited in the software industry, we know exactly what you're coming up against in interviews, what those technical challenges look like, and what employers are expecting from you. And we can read between the lines on what recruiters are saying to you too. So those are the general 3 phases. You'll work one-to-one with a consultant. Our role is to provide you with tailored and impartial support on anything that comes under that careers umbrella, and it's totally unlimited until you land that role.
Perfect. Thank you, Robin. Guys, I forgot to mention at the beginning as well that if any of you have any questions, there is a Q&A button down the bottom there. We're going to try and keep this one to half an hour because I always overrun and I get told off. But if you want to ask questions, we'll try to answer them all at the end. But by all means, you can get in touch with us as well. Of course, you'll have an email or a missed call or some kind of contact from us that you can always respond to as well. So Sharon, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm careers consultant here at the Learning People. I've been here for about 4 years now. And yeah, I was the person actually who enrolled Naomi onto the course. So I'm very excited to finally see her in person.
Awesome. So before you guys do jump into your questions, I'm always interested to ask successful students, Naomi, a little bit about your experience with us. What was that first interaction like? Because I get asked this sort of thing all the time. But how would you describe your first interaction with us?
Be nice up here.
It was.
And Sharon's right there, by the way.
Right, I have to be wording out. I know. So yeah, it was really, really good. I just inquired online, and then I received a call, an email or a call from Sharon, and she went through the options that I had, because I said that primarily front end is what I've done, but that I'd like full stack knowledge. So she pointed me in the direction of two courses, the front end developer and then the full stack pro, which is the one I decided to go down. So she stay in contact, really easy to get hold of as well whenever I had any questions. It felt like she cared cared that I was getting the right course for me for my journey. It was very good.
Okay, and I assume that played a part in why you ultimately enrolled with us. As well. Would you say there was any other factors? Because I'm sure, as with most people, they shop around, they look at other providers. Was there anything else that you would say kind of drew you into us?
It felt quite very tailored for career changes, because I'm a career change myself, especially the career services. Robin is very, great support for kind of figuring out how you can utilize your current role and possible transferable skills from your role into your new career. So which some other courses perhaps don't have that focus in their mindset. So I felt that that was what sold me as well.
Perfect. I'm always interested to know, out of the hundreds out there, why is it that people go with us? Now, I have a pretty good reason, but on the face of it, it's not always obvious. I'm always interested to know why. Okay, look, that's enough from me. Sharon, if you'd like to jump in and interview the lady you enrolled.
Okay. Yeah, so you can tell us about your journey to date, like where you've come from for the audience, and basically why you decided to change careers and become a full stack developer, I guess.
Yeah, so I was actually at uni and I did interior design when I first sort of discovered coding through friends, and I enjoyed it, and I did bits to kind of complement my design career. So I produced a website for my design portfolio online, and then I was working in design for 3 years. I was furloughed during that time, so I thought I will kind of focus on making websites and upskilling in that department, because it's something that's always interested to me, but I needed the time to do it. So then I went back to work, and I was struggling to find the time to self-learn and do JavaScript, especially from front end perspective anyway. So I decided that I needed a course to really give me structure. The reason I decided to change career into coding is because coding gives you lots of opportunity to learn, and I found I'm most engaged when I'm learning, or constantly learning. No one ever knows everything, ever. Even the principal consultants at my new role, they admit the same thing. So it's a constant learning process, and everyone in tech is very supportive of that. I also found that it's a much flexible career in terms of balancing your work life, which is another reason why I decided to go down coding.
Are you able to work from home then if you want to?
Yeah.
Ah, perfect. Lovely jubbly.
You're hybrid at the moment, sometimes both.
Yeah, it's work from home first, but the office is in London, which is about 45 minutes from my house. So it's easy for me to get to, but the company itself has got people spread across the country. But the company I work for is very good in making sure that you kind of group with people that are near you as well, so that you've got that social contact, which is important still. So
yeah.
yeah.
It brings me to my next question then, I suppose. What is a day in the life of a software developer like? And what would you say the biggest challenges of your jobs are? And what would you say is the things you enjoy the most in the role?
Yeah, well, I've only been in as a software engineer for a week now, so I'm so new. But so far it's been very sociable. Like, it's very much about getting to know people, to know what they know, so that you can learn from them again. Learning who you can bounce ideas off, who can support you, and it is very much a collaborative kind of role. So, you know, a lot of the time you might be coding on your own, but if you get stuck or if someone else is stuck, then you'll quickly jump in and sort of pair up or team up on a problem to solve that. So yeah, it's a really lovely environment and industry to be in from that perspective.
So I'm dying to know how oh, sorry, go on, Sharon.
So you carry on.
Sorry, this is always the part that I love to hear about as well. How did you actually land that first job? What kind of things did you do or go through to land that first job?
Oh, well, sit back. Listen to Naomi.
It's my favorite part.
Oh, me too.
Well, initially a lot of anxiety because I had to network. And I hated this,
Yeah.
Robin knows. But I think for me, the networking kind of, it's when you shift the mindset from networking to get a job to networking to learn about the industry. And it's about making relationships. It's making and nurturing relationships, essentially, in professional relationships. So I think it helped that while I was sort of job searching, the industry kind of started to decline in jobs. So I had to shift my mindset and was like, well, there aren't really jobs out there that I'm going to get anyway, possibly. So it's about building on the network until there is jobs. But as soon as, because I've seen from I was going to lots of events virtually. I was reaching out to the like panelists from some of these virtual things, and then that's how I'd have conversations with people on LinkedIn. Then I'd also go, because I'm lucky enough to be based in London, it's easy for me to get out and get to lots of events and meetups as well, which really helped my boost my confidence. And it's also learning to let yourself fail, and sometimes you might get, you might embarrass yourself, but at least tried, and at least you won't do it again. So
it's all experience.
I think like I mean, a trick for me anyway in that respect is that I reached out to someone perhaps a board that I was less likely to bump into on LinkedIn, had a really good conversation, and that really helped me. So if you are nervous about networking, and maybe start somewhere like that. But ultimately, yeah, it was networking that landed me my job. I was at a large event in London, and I went up to my company, Demon, who I'd never heard of before. And I was basically kind of giving an intro to who you are, what you do, and just had a really good conversation with them. And it was a very good fit. So.
Sorry. Naomi's being modest. There was no role advertised. They made a role for her.
Oh, no way.
Oh, that's
which is a
led
huge
with that.
testament to how you portrayed, and to go from being really nervous, really shy, really hesitant to networking, to go up to a company and impress them so much that they create a role for you.
Yeah. We need that person.
That's amazing.
That's incredible. Well
amazing. Done. Wow. I suppose on that note, what's your advice for anyone looking to change careers into coding?
Do it.
It's great advice.
Yeah.
Just do
Simple,
it.
straight to the point.
I think when you're learning to code, it's very easy to fall down rabbit holes, and you need a structure, you need a course that can give you that structure to know what is the fundamentals of learning to code, and keep you on track. And I mean, even when, despite finishing my course, I've almost fallen back into the rabbit holes now, and I'm looking to my colleagues now to perhaps give me the structure that my course gave me. So, you know, there's obviously lots out there. The Learning People's one was very, very good and suited to me because I knew myself that, like, I'm no longer classroom-based learning, no longer suited to like classroom-based learning. So the self-guided, being able to fit it around a job, being able to take time out if I needed it, or really focus and hone in on anything I was struggling with as well, and utilizing other resources perhaps to complement that, is why, and yeah, another reason again why I really chose the Learning People course, because yeah,
I think most people get to a similar kind of point.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they've maybe learned a little bit online themselves, been learning from, you know, free resources or books, or with like cheaper places or whatever. But I find that most people eventually get to a point where they need a proper course with structure and support and clearly defined goals and project work and so on. And it's really hard to achieve everything without having all of those things, you know, without having that structure around doing a real course. And knowing that you're learning the right things as well to be able to get a job, where sometimes when you're self-studying, you don't know if you've learned the right, you know, the specific right technology that most companies are going to be looking for, and if you've done it in the right way and to industry standard and best practice and so on. So
that's huge, Ben. Like, I can tell you from my own recruitment experience, yes, self-teaching is a big element in the coding industry once you've done your formal training, right? As you continue on, that self-learning, you're absolutely fine. But like, for example, if I was recruiting for a graduate or a junior role, I would not be able to put somebody who self-studied as their only foundation in front of my clients, because they would say they have none of exactly all the things you mentioned, the structure, the understanding of how it relates in a commercial environment and things like that. And that's what you get from a proper official certification. It's confidence to the employer that you're going to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah. And career support as well, to speak to Robin there, but there's I find that most of them don't have any career support at all, and the ones that say they do, it's really minimal. Like they'll give you like a CV review or something, when actually you need quite a bit more than that to have the know-how and the confidence to actually go out there and get that first job.
100%.
Sharon, did you have any other questions there?
I've got one more question for you, and that was that overall, would you say this has been a worthwhile investment for you? And that's a silly question, but still.
Yeah,
that's a great question.
Yes, yeah. I've said to many people now that I feel I already have a larger career in tech, despite not even being 2 weeks into a role, than I ever had in design. And I was in design for, well, I did a 4-year course and then 3 years in the industry, so it's nearly 7 years. And I mean, let's, you know, salary, let's, you know, it's on everyone's mind, right? And my salary increase has been the equivalent of what I paid for the course. So it's already paid for itself.
No way. That's incredible.
Wow.
Paid for itself in the first year. That's amazing.
Paid for itself with my first job, yeah.
That's incredible. And it only goes up after that as well. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Exponentially.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, I'm not sure. What actually is your first role? What is it you're doing? You're front-end developer?
So my official title is an analyst consultant, which is the equivalent of a junior software developer. I've been hired for my front-end knowledge because they currently don't really have a front-end. They're sort of expanding into front-end development, but I weigh full stack. So my role for the next few months is very much self-learning and being encouraged to do some certifications with the company. And so obviously, having that self-learn, I'm very much going through again what I've been going through with the Learning People, where managing my time. And I think that something I definitely learned about myself about self-guided learning is you can't learn 8 hours a day. Like, I quit my job to study full time, and you need to really not be hard on yourself when there's some days I'm like, did I learn anything today? And then I'm talking about it and I'm like, actually, I learned, even if it's just one or two new technical words, you've done something that day that's been worthwhile. So I think that's something that's really important, and to not like beat yourself up about it. If something's not going in one day, then you can do it the next day.
That additional learning though, it's quite normal, I think, to when you first get your first job. We Robin and I did a webinar last month with a guy, Taylor, and he said that when he got his new jobs, he had already been a coder for a year or two, but when he got his new job, he had all of the right skills, but he had to learn specifically how they did it, what kind of systems they used, which technical tools they used, and so on. So there's always a little bit of a learning curve between one job to the other, and it's just, I think it's about just being willing to learn, basically, to learn how they do it. And it's always good experience, because eventually you might go to a company that already uses those things. So it's good to try and get as broad a knowledge as you can with those things, for sure.
Coding will give you a broad knowledge for sure. You kind of have no choice in the matter.
You're never going to learn it all. So Naomi, I think you have a project that you could potentially show us. And if you could, that'd be great to show us one of the things that you've built there. That'd be great to see. Oh, you're muted. Jump out and jump back in.
Sorry, it will automatically try and share the audio.
Pesky Max.
There we go. Yep.
Yes. Now we have it.
So you can see it, and you can hear me now.
Yes.
Great. So for your first project, you have to build a portfolio on my course. For the second project, it was either a quiz or a pairs game. So it was more logic focused as well as front end focused. So this was built using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if for anybody that hasn't started encoding yet, JavaScript is the logic behind how it powers how this game works. So I created this game called Pear Colada to teach people how the names of basic cocktails. And so the front end I used HTML, CSS, and a framework called Bootstrap, which is a styling framework that gives you sort of templates. So then I used JavaScript to control the action of the cards and accepting the clicks.
So it's like a memory game.
Yeah, it's a memory game. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't make this easy. Not only was the pairs game a hard choice in the quiz, it is because of all the logic behind. It's also I also made it harder by not having identical images. So you have to name. I have an image for the name and an image for the cocktail, for the drink. So yeah, and then the logic behind this, the JavaScript accepts this as a pair and fades it out just so that you can't use it again. And then when you complete it, which I will do quickly.
Pasta.
There we go. You get a little pop-up. So
Cool.
so I learned a lot, like by making it a bit harder for myself. I very much learned a lot from that.
It's all experience.
So yeah, and I've had very good feedback on that from my interviews.
Well, it looks great.
And friends, yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well done. Okay, so we have had some questions come in from the audience, and perhaps we can all participate in answering them. So Maxwell has asked, can I work from home if I get a job in coding? Well, I think Naomi is proof to yes, you can. I think, Robin, you can probably answer this just as well, but in short, yes, there's lots of jobs that you can do from home, or a hybrid, or even part-time, or just contract work. For the most part, I don't think many employers care too much where you work from, so long as you deliver on your projects in the time frame that was agreed. And I think for a lot of people, that's quite an attractive prospect in terms of, because you manage your own time, and you can decide, okay, I'm going to put in 4 hours here, or maybe go down the beach with a mate, put in 4 hours this afternoon or whatever. But as long as you deliver on those projects, and it's always a new thing that you're working on, But yes, in short, Robert, I don't know if you'd add anything to that.
Just that it's a sort of a part of the fabric of software engineering. Like pre-pandemic, if you weren't offering developers at least 1 to 2 days a week at work from home and flexible working hours, you wouldn't find candidates for your role. I'll be honest, because they just had that everywhere else. Since the pandemic, it's accelerated that even more so, to the point that if you want to be hybrid, you can be hybrid. If you want to be fully remote, you can be fully remote. It's probably easier to cherry pick that in coding than it is in other areas, for sure.
Yeah. And I think last month we had Taylor. He said he went for one of the jobs out of all the ones that he went for. They said there's no home working allowed. And he just
went, bye.
Yeah, he's like, well, that tells me everything I need to know about that company's culture.
Yeah.
So, Robin, this is probably one for you. Kieran has asked, how quickly do people usually progress in a coding career? It's a little bit different for everyone.
What's the litmus? What's the litmus here? What are we trying to, as in, how do they get to the different levels?
I assume he's probably talking about in salary terms.
Salary,
I assume, yeah.
So a junior developer could be anywhere from, depending where you live, right? A mid-20s, right? Let's say circa about that. Once you've got about a year's experience, you're definitely late 30s. Then 2 years experience, you're in the 40s. Now, once you hit 3 years, I always find this hilarious, you're considered mid-level, right? 3 years experience, you're mid-level, and you're in around the 50K. By 6 years experience, 5 even, depending on the company or how easily you can kind of accelerate it, you're a senior developer and you're hitting easily 70K, right? Like, for example, I have 8 years experience in the employability sector. Not getting anywhere near 80 grand.
I've got a coding course for you.
I know. But once you're at the stage where you're sort of established, like you're from the mid-level developer onwards, in my experience, usually when people move jobs, they go up about 5K each job move, which you would not get in any other industry or any other role. So once you have demonstrated some value, you have a specialism, you have a niche, they'll pay for it, and you will be hounded by recruiters. Like, get ready to start getting annoyed with your phone, Naomi, because they will just keep chasing you. There's always going to be opportunities, and there's always going to be more money.
Thank you, Robin. So this one's maybe for Naomi, but do you need a degree to learn to code from Rami? Did you have a degree before learning to code?
Not in design. I had it in design, not in coding. So most people these days, I think, have started out with self-learning, and to some degree, either that's just online tutorials or boot camps, courses such as the Learning People's one, and that's becoming more and more popular, and it's really increasing, particularly to get women in tech as well. So women in tech is really high in demand, and it's getting better, but still, I was the only female techie in the office the other day. So but it's such a lovely industry that you don't feel like you're the only woman in there. Like, you fit in. So but yeah, back to the degree, no, not makes sense.
Good. And there's a couple more coming now, but this one's probably for you, Sharon, from Mina. Do most of the people you talk to for the first time come from a particular background? Over to you.
I would say absolutely not. I have people coming from all walks of life, all different backgrounds, all different ages. So yeah, absolutely, there's no sort of one specific type of person that looks into coding at all. Yeah,
I guess that's kind of the beauty of it, isn't it? It is something that you can learn these days, I'm not saying it's easy, it's definitely not, but relatively conveniently, I should say, learn in your own time. You can do 5 hours a week if you want, you can do 50 hours a week if you want. And I guess for that reason, it will fit around most people. And when most of our courses, they start from scratch, most of our courses are career change courses. So they start from a point where it assumes you know very little and end with you having the various things you need to get your first job. So there's no specific background or age or any kind of requirements, just so long as you're willing to learn, I would say.
Yeah.
So look at that. We are exactly on.
This is a record.
That is actually a record. Sometimes they go on for like an hour. So look, there is a few more questions in there, guys. I'm so sorry. Like I said, it's for editing purposes for our YouTube channel. They try to keep it within half an hour. But look, if you've got more questions, please do come back to us. You'll have an email from us or a text message or a missed call or something. Or maybe you've joined us from a contact that you made with us a while back. But if you get in touch, we can have a conversation with you, because it can be a little bit different from one person to another, depending on the exact course that you go for, what's going to be most suitable, exactly what area you want to study into. So it's always best to have a brief chat with us. So please do get in touch. But for now, thank you so much for spending the time with us on this month's webinar. Massive thank you to Naomi for sharing your experience with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll be watching your career with keen interest. But that's it from us, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Thanks
See you later. Bye.